So you come here to listen about bizarre things by Midwesterns. Well, I'm going to tell you all about it today. Let's go! Hey guys, Jesse Weiser here. I'm a real estate broker here in Springfield, Missouri. And today we're talking about the bizarre things that Midwesterns say. And I'm really excited. But first, if you guys are at all thinking about moving to the Springfield area or just the Southwest Missouri area, I would love to work with you. Check out wiserlivingrealty.com. That's why I make these videos, to kind of like entertain you guys and to teach you a little bit of our culture. And if you guys are at all interested in moving here to start a family or be a part of the crazy weather that we have sometimes, then I would love to work with you, get to know you, get to know your story, and just to be your friend. You know, I'll be your first friend whenever you move here. So reach out anytime. You can call me, email me, text me, anything. All my information is down in the description below. So we help a lot of people move from the west, north, south, east. They're all coming into the central part of Missouri. And one of the biggest things that a lot of them, let us know, because I asked them, what's the biggest difference between living in California or Phoenix or whatever they're moving from? What is the biggest thing that you notice about people? Everyone's response literally is the people here are like Midwestern nice. So there's actually studies to prove all of this as well. But when you walk into a grocery store or something, you're gonna run into another person. And then for some reason, a small conversation breaks out, like small talk. Also, while you're at a grocery store, like I was at Costco not long ago. This happened to me twice. I'm loading something big in the back of my truck and someone comes by and is like, hey, can I help you? I'm like, yeah. I actually have done it too. Some guy was loading like a big couch in the back of his truck. And I'm like, hey man, you need some help? He kind of got caught off guard, of course, like everybody would. But he was like, actually, I would love some help. So I got my guns out and helped him load. I almost broke my back, but it's cool. We even have this one thing called like the Midwestern wave. You're driving through the back roads in your nice F-150, because everybody drives, a Ford around here. Just kidding. But you're driving around and someone's about to pass you and people are like, so they obviously can't hear you, but it's just that, the 2-finger thing, that's the cool way. If you really want to go above and beyond, 4 fingers. Right, just like that. But on the downside, people are scared of confrontation, around here. So sometimes some passive aggressiveness happens because they want to be too kind, but they don't want to hurt your feelings. So they'll be nice to your face, but maybe talk about you behind your back, whatever. You find that in every city, right? So like who you surround yourself with is who you're going to be around. So if you surround yourself with kind people, you're probably going to end up being a kind person, right? You are who you surround yourself with. And what's actually really cool about the community of the Midwestern is if you move in to your house for the first time, or like you join a community or like a neighborhood or whatnot, people literally still bring, like it's part of the movies, but around here in the Midwest, people bring baked goods to you. People bring, really cool stuff to invite you to the neighborhood. Like, how cool is that? People still do that. So talking about the people and the weather, literally every person in the Midwest is ready for different kinds of weather, severe weather. We're ready for tornadoes. We're ready for hail, ice, everything. We are always ready. So you never know what to expect when it comes to the weather. It could be hail, then sunny, then raining, then ice, all in the same day, tornadoes, everything, tsunamis, whatnot. We don't have tsunamis, but that's why primarily the Midwesterns talk about the weather so much, because the weather is always changing. It is so crazy. So people in the Midwest actually carry layers everywhere they go. So they keep like a jacket in their truck, or sometimes, people even wear shorts and sandals way too long into the wintertime and then wear like hoodies way too long from the winter into the summer. It's kind of like a little joke that we see with some people. But a good measure would be to always carry a jacket or like a different pair of shoes in your vehicle so you can change any given time. Take layers off, put layers on, because for example, I was looking at a place, it's called Nantucket. Their weather changes 5 degrees in one day. In Springfield, Missouri, our weather changes on an average of 30 degrees every day. So you might wake up 60 degrees in the morning and it gets up to 90 degrees during the day. Like, that's a huge swing. So what's kind of funny is, like, when you're driving to work, you might blast your heat because you're so cold in your car. But then as you're driving home, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. So you're blasting your AC. That is the Midwestern way. And another thing that Midwesterners do is they always have these little tools in their car because they're always ready. Like jumper cables or like set of tools, or maybe the snow shovel, or even one of them like windshield scrapers. We're always ready for anything. I make it sound like we're like, you know, building bunkers and everything out here, ready for the end times. No, we're not. We're just so used to the weather changing so much. We're always prepared. So shifting gears a little bit, Midwesterns always try to find a way to save money. Whenever you're like with a friend, we love discounts, okay? So like Ross, TJ Maxx, you know, all that stuff. People brag about where they found the cheap item. So let's say I go to Costco, buy something for $12.99. It's really cool, you know, outfit. Then you meet your friend and your friend's like, oh my gosh, I love that sweater. And you're like, $12.99, Costco, no big deal. That's literally the Midwestern way, is to brag how cheap you got it. Versus in like a big city, it's something to brag about when you buy expensive stuff. So like Gucci or Louis Vuitton or something like that. People are like, oh yeah, $12,000 Gucci. I don't know. I was never raised around expensive stuff. I think that's how it goes. But here in the Midwest, it's about how cheap you got it. Another bizarre thing about the Midwesterns on how to save money is that the older generation literally loves fixing broken things. So there used to be like an old show, and this is what it reminds me of, the Red Green Show, where he fixes everything with duct tape. It's kind of like that. Like they use duct tape, zip ties, anything like screws found, you know, in the middle of the road. They're like, oh, I can use that screw, and they like fix something. That's literally the Midwestern way. Fixing things, fixing broken things that need to be thrown away with just cheap stuff that they found around. Now that's a little bit of the older generation. Like, you're gonna be neighbors with these people. That's why I'm telling you about the Midwesterners. They always keep old appliances, like blenders, you know, anything. Like my neighbor, he always has like these old tools from the 1980s whenever he like bought them. And I opened up this package, it said literally 1986. They always have old tools, old appliances, just ready to go any given time. And here's the sweet thing about it. They want to help their neighbor. Like anytime their neighbor doesn't have something, they're like, oh, you want to borrow this? Like, you want to borrow my wheelbarrow? You want to borrow this tool? Like, seriously, people around here care so much that they have gardens. And whenever they have gardens, they have a surplus of vegetables. And they're willing to just offload vegetables all the time. I've literally been handed cucumbers, tomatoes, buckets of green beans, broccoli, anything that you want. Like, that's the Midwestern way. Have an abundance of something and then just share it with everybody. The type of people that are in this area, the Midwest, they always have stuff just to share. Faith, who is behind the camera, just told me a story that on Sunday, literally someone came up to her with a full Walmart bag of tomatoes. Like, do you love tomatoes? Take these. And she's like, thanks. She's laughing literally behind the camera right now. We also, as Midwesterns, have a funny way of saying things like weather. You know, weather. Do you get it? Do you see the difference? Weather and weather. So as Midwesterns, we have a funny way of saying some things, okay? So for example, we condense words. So instead of did you eat, it's did you eat? Did you eat? So I'm gonna give you a couple examples of some little Midwestern sayings. Okay, so you're about to leave and you slap the knee and you're like, well, I should probably head out. Also, we say, you know, when we're trying to squeeze past somebody, we're like, oh, just trying to squeeze past you. It's because we're so polite, but we say, oh, and I catch myself all the time. It's just the word, oh, like that's when you know that you've met a Midwestern. So I could literally be in California and I'm like, oh, excuse me. I always say, hey, don't forget, watch for deer. But that's really the Midwestern way of saying, hey, I love you. So it's instead of like being, you know, oh, love you, goodbye, it's, hey, watch for deer. That's what I always say. So at the end of this video, if you watch all the way to the end, you're gonna hear me say, oh, don't forget, you watch for deer. That just means I love you. It's the Midwestern way of saying I love you. So another thing we say is like, yeah, no, no, yeah, no, yeah. Let me decipher this for you. It's whatever the last word that they say is what they actually mean. So when someone's like, hey, do you want to go, go to the movies? And they're like, yeah, no. It means no. Moving on. People around here, I mentioned it earlier, have a good work-life balance sometimes. Now I say sometimes because if you work like the 9 to 5 and you don't have a corporate job, you probably do have a good work-life balance. If you are like a business owner and everything, you may not have a good work-life balance. Just depends what kind of career you go down. Let me kind of go into that a little bit. People who move here from the West Coast and whatnot, and people that we've helped move here, we always ask them, why are you moving here? And their response is always, well, to be closer to family, or maybe start their family, or maybe to slow down and to really like get connected with my family. It's very family oriented. So when people move here, they build their families here. They do life with their family and they slow down a little bit. So I left a little bit of funny things at the end of this video. I'm excited because like this is gonna be kind of entertaining. The Midwestern goodbye is a real thing. Someone could literally be like, well, it's time to go. And then literally 40 minutes later, they're still there saying goodbyes. So like before you get up to go, don't be that person, coming from the coast or whatnot, and just be like, all right, see ya, and then leave. No, you gotta do the proper Midwestern goodbye. You gotta say goodbye to literally everyone before you leave, by the way, because if you don't, someone will be offended. But you have to be like, hey, see you guys, and then you like strike up another conversation, and then you go to the next person, strike up a conversation, strike. It's all about the conversation and the goodbye. You have to say goodbye to everybody. Another thing about the Midwesterns is they're very die-hard like teams. So when you think of like Costco versus Sam's has been around here a very long time, so there's some loyalty there, okay? But Costco comes in, and they got my loyalty, mainly because they're 42 seconds away from my house. Chiefs versus, whatever, like we're a big team's loyalty place. Another funny thing about the Midwesterns is when you go to a party or like a meeting or whatever, the first small talk that people talk about is the route that they came to the event. And then instead of distance in like miles, they always say the distance in minutes. So it's like, yeah, it took me like 19 minutes to get here, I took this route, whatnot. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's not that bad. That's the small talk that we have around here. So when you're talking to somebody, it's like, oh yeah, it'll take about 32 minutes to get there. They're like, 32 minutes? They never ask how many miles it is. So here in the Midwest, it's bragging rights if you sit on the front porch and watch tornadoes go by. Like most people, they are scared out of their mind about tornadoes, which it is a severe thing to think about. For some reason, people always go outside and they're like, I want to see it, I can't see it. Like it's something to brag about going on your front porch and looking for tornadoes. I don't understand. Another funny thing about the Midwesterns, when you go out to restaurants, you don't want to like inconvenience the waiter or the chef. So like you might be at the restaurant and you're like, well, do you have any like tartar sauce? Like you're almost like apologizing for asking whenever like they probably do have it, but you're just too scared to ask anyways. That's the Midwestern. So if there is one thing that you learn about the Midwesterns from this video, is that all conversations start with weather and they all end with weather. Well, I hope you guys had a great time today. The weather is absolutely perfectly sunny outside, so I'm gonna get out there and enjoy the day. If you guys wanna see any more videos about the Midwest or just Springfield in general, check out this playlist right here. And don't forget, you watch for deer. Remember, that means I love you. Bye. I should really calm down. This just cracks me up on how like Midwesterns are. Okay.